Well, hello there, and welcome to another interview presented by me, Jack Lucas Caffrey. And I think my interviews are starting to become Metal Gear Rising appreciation videos because my guest today is none other than the singer of The Only Thing I Know For Real, Tyson Yen. How are you doing today?
Hey, good to be with you here with you.
Ah, yeah, same with yourself, same with yourself. Well, the first question I'd like to ask you today, and it's one I ask to everyone who's a musician, and that is, how did you get into music?
Well, like most musicians, you start early, at least I did, in elementary school. So when you're in elementary school, you've got to pick an instrument, right? You got to pick the violin, you got to pick the trumpet, trombone, the flute. I picked the trombone and I stuck with that until high school. And then I moved to trumpet. I played a lot of jazz. I played jazz, symphonic, did all that. I was the band geek. I was in marching band. I played at all the festivals, jazz festivals. I played through college, and then I got into rock. I joined a rock band, um, and that's kind of the rest is history. So I've been in bands, doing session work, just making music wherever I can, whoever will listen to me. So that's
Yeah.
just my story.
Yeah, well, that's actually mad that you were like a jazz sort of artist and jazz musician, and then you transitioned to rock all of a sudden. How did you end up transitioning into that?
Just pure vanity. I just always wanted to be like in front of the crowds. I wanted to be the one heard the loudest as a trumpet player because I switched from trombone to trumpet. And the trumpet player and the jazz player, that's basically the lead singer of a jazz band, right? You're the loudest, you're in the back, you're screaming. I was the like lead trumpet. So I was playing all the high notes. So I was kind of used to that attention anyway. And the thing is like I remember listening to jazz and then I got my first taste of rock. I listened to Pearl Jam 10, then I listened to Tool and then like Stone Temple Pilots, all the grunge guys from the 90s. So I was just like, I was like, that's my jam. That's kind of it shifted my focus because I was just kind of like really fell in love with like all that music. And it just kind of took hold and never let go. So that's how the shift was made. But what was great about it is jazz gave me a really solid foundation. Like jazz is like the meanest group of musicians in the world. And I don't mean like mean, but they are like they could be snooty. Like, man, if you don't know your theory, they're like if you're not picking up the changes, it's cutthroat. It's tough. Rock was a lot more forgiving, a lot more sort of like yeah and like oh we're not reading music we're maybe barely read tabs so it was like a lot more less refined. I wasn't kind of used to that world in the beginning, but I got used to it and I got a little bit lazy. But I can still read music. I still bust out the trumpet once in a while for musical cues. But yeah, that's how it kind of transitioned into rock.
Yeah, that is absolutely crazy. Like, like, I do know people who are into jazz and rock as well. Like, one guy I know, David Adderley, he does like, he's all into his jazz, but he's also a bit of a rocker and a pop guy and all that. Like, he just does everything, a bit like yourself. But going into the rock stuff, you did eventually get into a band. One of the bands I'd like to speak about is Drist, because you did a lot of music with them. So, how did Drist sort of start, and what was it like being in that band?
Drist started, I was on MIRC back in the late 90s, and posted some lyrics to Alice in Chains. So an Alice in Chains song, Rotten Apple or something like that. It's from the Alice in Chains EP. I typed it back. We were like, hey, we like music. And so I met up with the guitar player for Drist and we started jamming together. We found some local guys from the high school in San Mateo, California. And then our first gig was at the Hillsdale High School. And we just kept playing shows after that. And it was fun because it was the first time playing in like metal and rock and stuff like that. First time like being up on stage in that sort of capacity where it was just like a lot more less refined, more like a party atmosphere. Um, that's how that formed, and we just kept playing until we got some management, and we tried our best to get signed, and it didn't happen. And we kind of just like most bands just sort of fizzled out. I think we can legitimately say like I always say like most bands say like oh we almost got signed. It's like no you did or you didn't, but like we actually like can legitimately almost got signed because at that time when labels were considering us, Trapped was I think Interscope was the one that was looking at us the most, and then Warner Brothers was looking at us. But Interscope was saying like oh well we just signed Trapped. There's no reason to sign you. So yeah, I forever hate Trap. I'm just kidding. I love Trap.
But yeah, I was about to ask you, were there be like any talks to be signed to a bigger label for that? But you kind of answered my question just there. But you did get like some recognition in that band, anyways, especially in the game Guitar Hero for the songs Arterial Black and Decontrol. What was it like having your songs appear in the early installments of such a big game franchise like Guitar Hero?
So at that time, it was really exciting because I mean, I also love video games. I mean, I do streaming for that right now. I love, at that time, I didn't really think about how big it was going to be. I just knew it was cool. I knew it was cool to get a gig for sessions. I knew it was cool to like have our music in it, but I didn't know like it was going to blow up and be like this legacy things where like people are still playing it today. Like, it's just like mind blowing looking back at like just being placed in that video game was one of the biggest, most impactful things for my career. Like people always say to musicians, like, don't work for exposure, don't work for exposure. Don't think give things out for free. But that's the one time where I gave something out for free that paid me back in spades. So, um, monetarily, but like fan base and just stuff like that. I didn't get a dime for actually being in Guitar Hero. Like, I don't get royalties. I didn't get paid upfront. I got paid as work for hire, but the resulting in being in that game and Guitar Hero 2, still like, you know, still brings notoriety, still brings people to the, like, hey man, big fan. Not just from like Metal Gear. So Metal Gear is just the newest thing, but even that's not even, but the thing is like that's not even new. Like, it's like 10 years ago. Like, it's crazy that it's like, anyway.
Yeah, yeah. And we will get to Metal Gear in a little while, because there is a little more about the bands that you're in that I'd like to speak about. One actually, about Drist, again, one of the songs that you did, Lost in a Miracle. I was listening to that recently. I really dig it. Really love the track. How did that song sort of come about?
Um, I was I was sitting in the I didn't okay, at the time I wasn't quite homeless because I always had a place to go, but I didn't really have a place to I was like homeless by choice. So I was sleeping at my management office place. And at the time the management company was the same management like they managed Smash Mouth. And I would just and I just I was just kind of feeling down in the dumps, and I'm just sitting there with the acoustic guitar, and the song just kind of came out. I was like, like most people, I was going through like a breakup, and I just thought that this was cathartic for me to write the song. So I did. I grabbed my manager's I had a manager, then I had a go-to guy from my manager, and so I grabbed him. I didn't know how to use Pro Tools at the time. I said, look, I got this song. I really want to get it out, not for even just for the band. I just want to get it out for me, um, because I'm feeling down in the dumps. So it was like he didn't even want to be there. He like just came back from the bar. So I'm like, let's go in the studio. So I promise you, I was like, I promise you, I'll one take this bad boy. So we went to the studio, and he's like, all right. He's like, I think he was like totally ripped. He just pressed out, he's like, all right, press record. We did a few takes of the song, and he was just like blown away. He's like, bro, this is a great song. He's like, we should put this on, release this for Drist. I'm like, okay, let's do that. So we did. It was just meant to be a song for me, at that time. So that's just how it came about.
Wow, very, very interesting story for that, and it kind of adds more meaning to the song that I already knew. It was so and I can see why I find it to be one of my favorites from the Drift stuff that you've done, because it was a really, really good tune. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was down in the dumps, like for real. So
But sometimes like music can be like medication and therapy for things like that. You can write like a song to sort of get you through a rough time and stuff, and that's what you did just there, I think.
yeah, I mean, it's the words I wanted to say after someone was already didn't want to talk to me anymore. So
Well, well, there you got it out there and
yeah.
for the world to hear, so that's always good. And another song that you did as well that you got the world to hear is a song called "Drive Me" in a different band called State Line Empire. I'd like to ask you about this because you were able to get Slash of Guns N' Roses onto the track. How did you get him on the
No,
track?
we weren't able to get it. We didn't do anything except win a we didn't do anything except win a contest for Guitar Center. Guitar Center,
Oh,
Guitar Center, right? Guitar Center. Is it
Yeah,
Guitar
it's like
Center? Okay,
it's a shop. I'm aware of it.
yeah, Guitar Center had a contest called Your Next Record, and it was the first one. It was with Slash, so it was in the we saw it on the website, and all you had to do was enter three MP3s, your band photo, and people would vote. We got voted to the top before we knew we won, and they sent us in the studio with Slash, and we recorded a track. I mean, it was just that's it. And then they Slash's management managed us for a year. They really did actually try their best to try to like really manage us, like do the things like try to actually progress our careers in that span of a year. They actively try to get us on radio stations. They try to get us land us some bigger gigs. They actually try to get us on tour with Slash, but they already promised it to Tantric at the time. So but they did a lot for us, and it wasn't just like big talk. They actually did stuff. So it was cool. It was cool. So we met Slash. We recorded with him. It was kind of it was a really surreal experience because we weren't allowed in the recording studio while he was recording. We just heard him playing it, like taking his takes, and we were just like, "Oh man, that's so cool!" Just hearing him, just like it was just him and Mike Klink, um, in a studio in Hollywood, and great studio by the way. I don't remember the name of it. I just remember Slash driving up in his Aston Martin, all blacked out. It's tight. He was a great guy too.
Oh yeah. So it was good. So like you did like actually spend some time with him though, working on the song. Like,
It's not like I called up Slash and said, "Yo, bro, I need a favor." It was an arranged thing. So I don't like to like I sell it like as if we got him because it's like there's a difference.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was cool, man. It was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that was very cool is the fact that you got to do the soundtrack to Metal Gear Rising, specifically The Only Thing I Know for Real and The Soul Can't Be Cut. Firstly, how did you actually get into the Metal Gear Rising soundtrack?
Oh man, let me tell you that gig came at a really perfect time because I was struggling financially and like I needed to pay rent. Like I was just like, oh, this came at the perfect time because I just like moved into a different place. The rent was a little bit more, and then I was like, okay, I needed to pay the bills. Anyway, so John John Pierre Kellums from Platinum Games, he was a fan of Guitar Hero 2 from like the song Arturo Black. He dug that track. He told the company arranging all this was called Sound Deluxe Music. I just got a simple email. It wasn't very descriptive. It says, "Do you want to do a video game for this video game?" They're very big. I didn't know the name of the publisher. I didn't know the video game. They said, "Do you want to?" I said, "Yes, of course I'll do it." If anyone would ask me, if I said, "Sure, I'll do it," I don't care. Um, and so I got in contact with Jamie Christopherson, the composer. We had soup. It was a rainy day. It was awesome. He didn't tell me the game. He just said, "All right, this is kind of what we're looking for. I'll send you the MP3s. Check them out. Let me know if it'll work for you. Let's do. Can you record a demo at home?" And I did. And he's like, "Yep, right away, right away." He's like, "This will totally work." And it was like after that we recorded the track, which it was so crazy because of all the studios. We're in Los Angeles. There's so many studios. The
Yeah.
studio happened to be like walking distance from my house, and I don't live in a place. I live in El Segundo, so it's not like I like a common place to record. So there happened to be this like amazing recording studio just down the street from my house. I had no idea about it. It's like super low key. I think they probably do like, I don't know, corporate stuff. Anyway, I recorded. It was the weirdest recording session like I've ever been in. It was the most nerve-wracking and the weirdest one too. But so many curveballs were thrown at me during that recording session that I was just like, whoa, 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 I'm trying to perform here. You guys are like, first of all, the guy engineering me is Logan Mader, who I'm sitting there like my jaw's still on the floor from meeting him because I've never met him before. I had no idea he was going to engineer me. Logan Mader's from Machine Head and Soulfly, a bunch of other bands. I was just like, bro, I get to, that's crazy. And then I got a guy from Japan on a laptop streaming, looking at me from a table. He's like in a meeting room in Japan, staring at me through the glass. And then I got people like tons of people like people from Konami, people from Platinum Games, just crossing their arms watching. And then in between each take, people are chatting. That's normal though. I mean, people chatting behind the glass, not you don't know what they're talking shit. sorry, my language, talking crap about you. So, you don't know. So that's just, I'm just like, man, and I'm just like, I'm firing on all cylinders. I'm in like reptile mode. My brain is just like going, just do the best for the song. And so it worked out.
Yeah, yeah, it did. And it's absolutely crazy that like all that sort of stuff was just sort of being thrown in your face like that. Uh, a little bit about the only thing I know for real though. When I was speaking to Jamie Christopherson about the soundtrack and how he made the songs, he was telling me that the songs he would make them like original versions for them, and then they'd be remixed heavily later. So, what was the sort of version that you heard in your headphones when you were playing when you were singing the only thing I know for real? What was the sort of one version you were hearing?
I got the Mega Rock version. So if you actually go on YouTube and look for the only thing I know for real demo, there is one sang by a demo singer, right? And it's just a lot more of a metal song. There's no electronic elements. So what I got was a refined version of that before it was sent to the Maniac Agenda for the dubstep electronic stuff, all the wub wub stuff and all the cuts. So I got just a real bass. It was like a guitar, bass, drums, metal, just a metal setup, but all the bells and whistles. It was a great mix. It wasn't the mix. It wasn't the demo mix. It was a great mix. So that's what I was singing to. I knew this song backwards and forwards. I could have sang that with just the click track at that point because I literally like just sang nothing but that for a week on a treadmill on the incline because I wanted to be so ready for this because I was just like, I need this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And when did you actually realize that it was Metal Gear Rising that that's when you were doing the music for?
Oh, okay, so right when I finished both tracks, um, I was feeling like a hot shit. I was just like, yeah, man, I'm gonna just nail both of these tracks. And then I actually realized because they're asking me, oh, do you want to come back another day? I was like, no. And I'm like, thinking back, I should have totally got day two because the thing is, I would have got paid more because I was getting paid Screen Actors Guild. But I was like, no, I'm big and tough. I could just nail this all, and I did. But I shortchanged myself. Anyway, after I was done, we were having coffee in the break room. I said, okay, I'm like, come on, can someone just please let me know what game this is? I'm so curious. No one told me. And then the John Pierre Kellum, JP, we call him JP. He was just like, oh, no one told you this is from Metal Gear. I'm just like, oh, and then I'm just like, oh, like I don't know, like waves of just shivers. I got tingles. I remember playing Metal Gear when I was a kid. I'm like, wow, I get to be part of this franchise that I thought was so cool. So I mean, yeah, that's what I found out.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. And you did mention there that you also did sing the DLC version of A Soul Can't Be Cut. So could you speak to me a little bit about singing that song? Like, how did that come about that you ended up singing that?
That's just another track that they threw at me at the same time that they send me the only thing I know for real. And I practiced both of those songs, and that was always planned to just do it. So I mean, yeah, I mean, after we did the only thing I knew know for real, we just took like a 30-minute break, and I would jump back in, put the cans on. I was comfortable at the time. Then now I was at with that environment, so I was just like, yeah, let's just bang that out. So that's just what we did.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And you also got to perform these songs live at the Hard Rock Cafe over in California. What was it like performing to that crowd? Because I was speaking about the Jason Charles Miller and the names that were like at that concert. It seems like an incredible concert.
Well, um, yeah, it was super cool. I'm just trying to recollect that night because just it was just super fast. It was a concert like none that I've experienced because I just have to like prepare to do two songs. So I was like wow, I can really give like 1,000% because normally if I do gigs, it's an hour long set. I can't just like I just can't like just go full red the whole time. I gotta like pace myself. But this one I didn't have to pace myself, so I just like all right, okay, like see if I can give it 1,000% for like 5 straight minutes. Um, yeah, it was fun. I got to meet all the guys from Platinum and Konami, uh, Kojima, um, uh, who's Rob Trujillo. I spent a lot of time talking to Herman Lee from Dragon Force.
Gee.
Oh man, talking to that guy, I love Herman, man. And like what's funny is like every time I meet him like you know that time period where you meet somebody and like by the time you meet them again, you're just like, don't you kind of remember me? And every time Herman was like, yeah, I remember you. You're the guy from this. And so he's always super cool. Like we've killed a lot of beers, and like he probably doesn't remember me now because it's been a long, long time. But we are always bumping into each other in Sunset. Anyway, yeah, I ran into Herman Lee. I got to meet all the guys from Maniac Agenda. Um, you know, all I made friends with all the most of the singers from Metal Gear. All the singers. I mean, I would have made friends with them all, but I just didn't have time to talk to them all. The ones I did talk with, like yeah, like Adam Ryan, not Adam Ryan, but Ron, who did Stains of Time. He was in a band called Night Electric. After that, we became friends, and we started, going to each other's shows. So
Gee, that's absolutely incredible. And I didn't even know that like a member of Dragon Force was there and you were having drinks and seeing him every now and again and everything. That's just absolutely
I have a
incredible.
picture with me, Herman, and Rob Trujillo together.
Oh my God, you gotta put that
I got to
one
dig
up.
that
You
up.
gotta.
Yeah, I got to dig it up. All I found is the picture of me and the cosplay rated.
Yeah, which is a funny one as well. You were also mentioning as well that you did like a demo version of the only thing I know for real before you went to the studio. Do you still have that demo version on you at all, or is that just kind of lost to
Oh
the?
man, yeah, I don't. I might have it, but I do. Man, it's such a gray area, you know. I don't want to like if I had it, I don't think I would share it just because I don't know. I mean, although I did just re-sing over the thing. So who knows? If I could find it and I'm feeling brave, maybe I'll release it. But it doesn't sound I didn't hit all the same notes that a few things were changed right on the fly. Like the big part, the like the only thing I know ever known, that one, that high one. I think I did a different note on the demo, and we got in the studio. He's like, "No, you're not doing the note. You got to do it way higher." And I was like, "Oh,
Well, that's actually quite interesting about that. But yeah, interesting that you might have the demo still kind of around. You did mention actually that you did do like covers of the Metal Gear Rising songs. You even did covers of "Bury the Light" from Devil May Cry. So,
Ooh."
what's it like now doing the sort of YouTube covers for your YouTube channel?
Well, the thing was, okay, so I was laying pretty low on social for the longest time, and until some person on Instagram sort of woke me up, and they're just like, bro, don't you understand that this thing is memeing so hard? Like, you need to like get out there. And so I was just like, I didn't even know like Metal Gear was memeing. So then I all of a sudden it just became way too easy to gather like following. Like they were just coming in, flooding in once I just let people know I was there. So I was like, okay, well, I should probably give them something what they want. And I do that. I mean, I like singing anyway, so I like recording. I might as well just like sing video game covers and see if that takes off. I'm still not sure if like that's something that will probably get me into a place where it's like I don't know, I can get a big following, but I'm hoping so. Everyone's like, "Oh, put those on Spotify." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't make the music. I can't like, I would have to recreate the music. They always want me to get it on Spotify. I'm just like, I can't legally do that. So, and I don't have the time to recreate like the music for it. So, but anyway, I like covering them. I love finding instrumentals on YouTube. I hope I don't get in trouble for it, but I'm not trying to monetize it or anything. So,
No, it seems to be just for the fun and everything. And it was actually interesting to hear you redo The Only Thing I Know for real because like your voice of those 10 years or so had like aged like a fine wine, I found. Like it really your voice had matured a lot in that time. Now it still sounded the same, but like you I could still recognize it was you, but your voice had really matured more and it was really interesting hear you sing that song again.
my voice was 10 years younger back then, but I have 10 more years of like vocal experience now because I do a ton of session work for like private clients and stuff so like I have a lot more command of what I'm able to do. Back then I was a lot more I was singing not very healthfully. I would burn out really quickly. I just didn't have a lot of technique. I just had this sort of one, or it was like I was singing whisper quiet or like as loud as I could back then. I didn't have much control. So Yeah, I mean, when people ask me to do that, I was just like thinking like, well, what do you expect to get from this? Like, of course I'm going to do it. I want to make you guys happy, but I'm just like, it's not going to sound that different. But then a lot of people were like, this is so much better, or this is so different, and I'm like, okay, because to me it sounds pretty similar.
Yeah, and it is pretty similar. I just think it's sort of like a very interesting sort of to hear you do it again and see how you progressed as a singer in those 10 years. And so yeah, that's what I think kind of was interesting about you covering that, without a doubt.
Yeah, revisiting the track like brought up old memories. Now it was so crazy. It was like going back to like it was like having flashbacks if you were like in a war or something. And I don't mean to to put them on the same level, but it's what felt
No.
similar. Like because in the studio and vocal, you're just in that. I was just like, oh man, I'm just nervous and tense. And so I remember the parts where I was having troubles. I remember the kind of the stumbling blocks that I had, and they were almost the exact same spots. Um, so it was a cool experience to relive it again, and it was fun.
Yeah, I do get what you mean because sometimes like I'll maybe like sing a song I might have done maybe like 3 years ago or something like that. And as soon as you start singing these songs, you're constantly brought back to, wow, that happened, this other thing happened. I remember that bit happening. I remember doing this other bit. It
Yeah,
just your brain just goes insane like that. So I do completely get that. Absolutely. Another thing I'd like to ask you about is the session work that you've done. You did mention that you do some session singing. What sort of things have you done as a session singer?
okay, so besides like Guitar Hero 1 and 2, I also did stuff for Karaoke Party. I sang a really jank-ass version of, like, just a terrible version of If You Could Only See by Tonic. I sang a few of the tracks on Guitar Hero 1, like I sang Hey You from the Xyz, Heart Full of Black by some band I don't know anymore. Um, I have sang, and then I have had sessions all along the way, and I'm going to say I'm thankful not to know where some of these songs go, just because some of them were maybe songs that I wouldn't think are very not very good. Just something that I'm just like, well, I'm glad I don't know where they are. I know like I found one song that I did was for like a casino theme song, and the other one was like for a state in the United States lottery commercial. I found a few on YouTube where people make putting them for your YouTubes. I do have a couple cool tracks where it's like a couple gaming YouTubers. I remember singing a song about diamond swords in Minecraft. I remember singing a guy, this guy named he goes by Corey the Merc Knight. Did something about I'm just singing. I never thought I'd be incorporating the Contra code in a song, but he's got me singing that. Um, so but high profile stuff, I mean, those are basically it. I mean, at least as far as I know. Like I said, there could be like huge placements that I don't know they're out there. I've done probably over 1,200 songs that are just floating out there.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. And so like there's like songs that are just floating out there as you said. So will they have not like came back to you? They just would have said, "All right, thank you," then never said where it went.
90% of my clients, they don't bother to show me. I do get the people that I like mentioned, they were the ones that bothered to contact me and say like, "Hey, this is check this out, man. I'm proud of it. I want you to be proud of it too." So, and I'm always proud to hear about it. But sometimes like the songs aren't something that I would kind of put out, and sometimes people will say like, some people will get the idea like since I sing it, like I'm endorsing the track, the stylings and all that. A perfect example is I have a music supervisor friend who does like soap operas, and he hit me up. He's like, "Hey, I got this soap opera. Like, write me some songs, and let's write some songs together." And so they were like really like these really fluffy poppy tunes, but I would never really like, endorse. I would never like push these. I would never like present them on my channel. Not that they're bad songs. They're just people that like, the only thing I know for real, Bury the Lead, people are like, what is this? This is something my mom would listen to. So, the audiences wouldn't quite get it or appreciate. So that's all.
Yeah. I get that. I get that. Going back to your YouTube, actually, since you mentioned it again, you also do some video game streaming, I believe. So, What sort of made you do the video game streams? What makes you do them?
Um, well, I like playing video games, and the thing is, I just thought about what audience I have right now, and they're young men who like video games and they like music and video games. So, and they like to just see me interact with them and talk with them. And I like playing video games. I would play video games anyway, so might as well just turn on the record button and have people watch and stuff like that. So, and I know that it's very lucrative for people with very large fan bases. And I would be lying if I said didn't have that sort of thinking in mind. Where if I had a big enough, maybe perhaps I could create it as a legitimate revenue source. So, um, you know, that's why.
Have you ever thought of maybe playing the video games that you appear in for your streams? Because I've mentioned it to people who don't play video games but work on music for video games, and I say, God, you gotta make a video where you play the games that you're in. It would be brilliant.
I'm going to play Rising Revengeance on Twitch, but the thing is, my streams I have like 5 people. I'm gonna I'm gonna wait till like there's more people. I get more people on TikTok or more people on YouTube than I do on Twitch. So, but it's just starting up. I actually have a Discord that someone created for me, and the first thing I typed in there is like, because it feels very weird. I was like, welcome guys, you're here to talk about a man who sang one song in one video game 10 years ago. But I mean, I'm not trying to like belittle them, but I just want to like, let's put this in perspective here. But everyone's just like having a good time. They're posting their own music. They're giving me requests. They're just saying hi. They're being super supportive and they want to be there. So, I just shut up and enjoy their company and they're cool people. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And going back to your music for a little bit, as we were speaking about, you performed in the Hard Rock Cafe. Was there any other venues that you also performed in, or any other countries that you went to maybe perform music?
I stayed in the United States when I was with my bands. Um, I've played in a lot of venues across the United States. My favorite venues are always in local California because that's where I went to see shows, and then it's Southern California. So I've played the like my favorite venues would be like the Viper Room and Sunset Strip or the Whiskey A Go Go, the Key Club. Um, and then in the Bay Area, like one of my biggest shows, I played opening for Bloodhound Gang in the Fillmore in San Francisco.
Wow.
That was one of my favorite places to play out, and it was so cool. Like I literally met the guitar player from the Bloodhound Gang just through email and chatting, and then I met him at his house, and then and then I joked, I'm like, man, let me open for you next time you come to the Bay Area. And he just kind of chuckled, whatever. So I get an email like a month later, like, oh, here's your call in, here's your loading time at the Fillmore. I was like, what? He didn't even tell me. He just said, yeah, just book him. So I did play the Fillmore. I mean, every venue up there. I remember playing a lot of places. There's one is like a really crappy venue, but it's like has a soft spot in my heart. It's called the Cactus Club in San Jose. I mean, it just smelled like cigarettes and beer. And it was just the worst place. But the thing is, like, I had a really good place because I've had a lot of good shows there. A lot of people came there. Um, that was cool. You know, and then the rest of the venues I played at, I don't remember them just because like they might have been cool venues, but I don't remember like the names of them because they're not something that I was familiar with. They weren't in my hometown. So
Yeah, absolutely. But what was it like opening for the Bloodhound Gang of all people, like big band and all that to open to?
well, at that time, that was our first big show, and it was really crazy because this was the first time I stepped on stage. And any band that has like sort of graduated from playing the floor at a pizza parlor to a giant stage can attest to being floored by how powerful the kick drum sounds when you're on stage. Like real professional badass monitor, badass, sound system. That kick literally just like puts air into your feet. And that feeling when I first did the sound check, I was just like, wow, man, arm hairs are on my arms raising up. This is amazing. Um, and so you can hear yourself clearly. The crowd's cool. It was Bloodhound Gang, Nerf Herder, a band called A. Um, yeah.
But now going back to the present and maybe more to the future of your music and stuff, are you planning to sort of make any more original music or release any more music? What's the future for Tyson Yen?
So like you always hear musicians, they'll say, "Yeah, I'm working on an album. Yeah, it's gonna be released," and it never happens.
Yeah.
And I self-admittedly, I've been working on an album throughout the pandemic. Me and my songwriting partner from State Line Empire, the that was the last band I was in, the guitar player. He now moved to my area. We've been working on an album throughout the pandemic. We have finished the demo stages, and now we have this Google Doc where we are like, like, all right, this is done, this is done, this is done. It's just been slow going, but we are in the process now of I'm doing the vocals, he's doing the guitar, I've been programming the drums. Long story short, we're going to try to get this thing out as soon as possible. It's like a full album. And I just want to, yeah. So I've been saying it's going to be soon for like many months. So now I just kind of be like, all right, I'm just going to take my time with it. Um, and I have to make sure like all right, I'm not doing too many covers at once. So I'm like, all right, I got to get back into my originals. So that's the kind of mode I'm in like right now. I have to get a few songs of my own done. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing that. And if the name doesn't, the project doesn't have a name, and we're gonna put it out there once it does, but we're gonna put it out there like on the internet. If I don't, I might do live shows if there is interest, but if there's no interest, then I'm just gonna keep it in the realms of it being released on the internet, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah. And do you think like because you also have like jazz roots and playing trumpet and stuff, do you think you might maybe incorporate some trumpet playing or some jazz into some of the music just to like see if you could do it again?
That's crossed my mind. I do have a few cues that I because I also write for TV and film, like for music libraries. So I have a few. I have a series of songs that I call the cop dramas. Like with the muted trumpet, and you can hear like it's like atmospheric pads, and like it just sounds like a rainy day, like some detectives interrogating someone. So I have these cop drama songs I've made, and yeah, I was thinking of incorporating that in the new music in some sort of capacity. That sounds like fresh, but I admit, my chops are so rusty on the horn that it would take me like maybe time I don't have. But I still like playing it, so maybe I'll bust them out, brush off, play a little bit and record.
Yeah, yeah. You might as well try it and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, sure you at least you tried at least to do it, you know?
Oh yeah, I might put people through the paces on TikTok and put out a little tip jar and do go TikTok live with my trumpet playing.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds pretty interesting. Absolutely, absolutely. And you mentioned there as well that you also have like music libraries and stuff. Have any of them went onto TV or anything? Have you seen it? And if so, what shows have they went to?
Oh, see, okay, so all my placements are little placements, maybe 15, 30 seconds. So it's almost like not worth like seeking out. But I've had placements in like Forged in Fire, a couple reality shows on CNN. I have all the major soap operas like uh like All My Children, One Life to Live. Um I have I would have to pull up my ASCAP account to like really list them out. There's nothing like super notable, but they're just small little placements here and there that are mostly on reality TV. Sometimes on sports shows too. I have a couple rock tracks on like on wrestling, whatever it's. In my time, it was called WWF. Now it's WWE. Yeah, I have a few on a few WWE shows. So it's just like here and there, little stuff like that. Nothing like major I could point out and go, yeah, that's me. So, but it like the licensing game, like either you catch a really big fish or it just rains nothing but nickels and dimes on top of your head. So I've caught like a couple decent sized fish, but those are very rare. Most of the time, I'm looking at my statements and it's like just a wall of nickels thrown at me.
Yeah, yeah. But you have appeared on TV and stuff like that with your music anyways. Even if it was just for little bits and bytes, it is still there. You can still find it at least.
Oh yeah. You just have to like sit through like an hour long special. Like one of my big replacements was from this show called Life with Lisa Ling on CNN, and it just used one of my just random basic instrumental cues that I uploaded. But it like paid surprisingly well because of like prime time placement. Um, so it's a fun. That's also a fun little side gig that you never know when you hit the lottery because all it takes one.
Yeah, it only takes one. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, with that all said, Tyson, thank you very much for coming on the program. It was great interviewing you. Is there any sort of last things you'd like to say? And would you like to plug in the socials?
Yeah, can I plug tysonyen.com, please? I have all of the links there. So if you want to join us on Discord, on Twitch, TikTok, whatever, yeah, come join us at tysonyen.com, and all the infos are there.
All right, that's good to know. And you can find me simply on my YouTube channel, Jack Lucas Caffrey. You may already be on my YouTube channel if you're watching this interview on YouTube. Tyson, thank you very much for coming on. And yeah, speak to you soon.
Thank you.